Hey everybody, welcome to the inaugural episode of Asian Movie Nerds,
Hey.
brought to you by Brother Mark.
And HR.
Alright, thank you so much for watching. So this is the first episode for Asian Movie Nerds, and basically just want to tell you about ourselves and where we come from. I've been watching Asian movie for as far as I can remember. Really started with a lot of Chinese and Hong Kong movies. And then once I came to the U.S., I really got into Korean and Japanese movies as well. So, in fact, to us, I think Asian movies, we're going to talk about a lot of Chinese movies, Japanese, Korean movies as well. Even maybe Thai or Singapore. Just whichever movies that we can find. Although we're probably not going to include Indian movies, mainly because that's considered a whole subgenre. That's not really, we consider East Asia as like its own region, so.
And I haven't seen a lot of Indian movies.
That's true too. Okay, so you want to tell the audience about yourself, HR?
And I sort of got into Asian movies through anime, because started watching anime in high school, and kept watching anime and going to the video store, and then while I was there, I was sort of got drawn into the Japanese, the classic Japanese movies. And then, through that, sort of found some of the more, ancient times Chinese movies. And then, after a while, I met Will, and that sort of, opened up the whole, the whole Hong Kong movie. His collection of movies was is pretty deep. So, going through there and just falling in love with, Hong Kong cinema and Chinese cinema. And then developing, and then eventually getting into more to Korean movies. And then from there, just everything else.
Yeah. Yeah, in fact, what made you draw into the whole Asian cinema?
Probably.
What appeals to you?
I know for sure. After I started watching some of the older Japanese movies, I recognized that back in the '60s and '70s, they were doing a lot of things that American filmmakers were not doing, and then that just it drew me in. It's wow, this movie's 50, 60 years old, and I and it's still relevant. It still captures my attention. Whereas a lot of American movies that I'd seen from that time period are kind of boring and dull to me. I was well, and then but that was my initial getting into Asian cinema, at least. That was my initial draw. I was and my parents were kind of strict, and being able to watch movies with subtitles that nobody else wanted to watch is that was a bonus, because I could watch things that probably something in English I would not be allowed to watch as a kid.
That's true too. There's really no the whole movie rating system in
right.
Asia. It's
it's very different.
There's really no there's no line between PG versus rated R movie. Like any Jackie Chan movie could be considered a rated G movie in China.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, for me too, it's I feel first of all, I think in East Asia is really really dynamic movie market outside Hollywood. I mean, China is the number 2 biggest box office in the world, and then Japan being number 3. So I think there's a lot of growth and a lot of exciting things happening over there. In fact, if you look at all those old movies from the 80s or 90s in Hong Kong, you see that, you just sense that kind of energy in every movie that they make. They don't have that, the budget or the technology of Hollywood movies at that time. But all they got just grit and determination to make the movie, which is possible.
and in a way, that gave them more freedom.
Exactly.
To take chances and do. I mean, you could argue that they had less freedom in other ways, and sort of subject matter, but definitely a lot more freedom in what you can just being able to do things even with the. Because it was so the budget was so low, they're making tons and tons of movies in a short period.
Exactly, and you can, and again, that kind of reflects on the quality of the movies too. Some movies you can just tell they're probably just writing the script on the spot.
Right.
So what's your next scene happening? Yeah, I mean that's a good point, because in Hollywood we have those budgets and all those expectations. You
committees to go through.
You tend to be more conservative, trying to play it safe. So yeah, so that's kind of where we come from in terms of our our thoughts on Asian movies in general. So feel free to like us and follow our channel and subscribe. That would be really appreciated. And also any comments you can make in the comment section as well.
Asian Movie Nerds.
Yep, that's right. Asian Movie Nerds. Now, so for the inaugural episode, again, in terms of how we determine movies, we can always go back and watch the old movies as well, because we've seen a lot of old movies together. But we'll just pick whatever movies we find, and we'll talk about it and review it and tell you what our thoughts are. So in our first episode, we're going to talk about Police Story 2004, or Police Story Lockdown, the American version. Actually, it's interesting because this movie actually came out. The Chinese name for it is Police Story 2013, starring Jackie Chan. I saw it like after it came out on the internet, but didn't really thought too much about it. But watching it again just the other day on Netflix, I kind of do have some new thoughts about it. So we'll talk about that.
You saw the Chinese version first, right?
Yes, and it's actually not that much difference. There's really no difference between the two versions, except the name change for the title. So I wanted you to tell us about the movie plot and all that.
Well, for starters, the opening of the film, you get the immediate impression that, oh, this is going to be a serious movie. With the title sequence, it's very dark and brooding. There's like a scene where it shows Jackie Chan shooting himself in the head. It's the opening shot. So it's like the movie's immediately saying super serious stuff is going on. But then like the actual once the movie starts rolling, you see Jackie on the street, and it's kind of just he's strolling down like some shopping center, shopping area, and there's a lot of kind of revelry and chaos going on in the streets. It's just like people are partying.
Yeah.
But I guess he's looking for he's trying to find this certain bar, the Wu Bar in that neighborhood to meet up. You find out that he's looking to meet up with his daughter there, who's apparently working there or is related to somebody there. But just going in, especially as once he gets to the bar, you see it's kind of one thing I noticed when he first gets to the bar, he meets two guys. One of them ends up being kind of a savior in the end, and the other one ends up being is like a TIE fighter who the second time I watch it, I noticed he bows to Jackie as he's entering the bar. And to me, that's signifying once you step inside, you're entering a fight. To me, I was that's kind of a little bit symbolic, possibly, but going to
foreshadowing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, definitely foreshadowing. But inside the bar, it's just you also sort of see. I don't know how you describe as to see a bunch of young people being rowdy, kind of. There's a lot of weird. Fake forced dancing going on. It's
the Chinese youth of today.
Yeah, and I guess it's definitely kind of casting a bad light on the people who are there, saying these people are decadent and are rowdy and disruptive and stuff. But yeah, that was definitely my. Did you have any impressions on that? Just the opening scene?
Yeah, I mean, I thought that it's definitely kind of has a. Yeah, like you said, in the opening shot where, it shows Jackie Chan pointing the gun at his own head, I was like, whoa, this is going to be serious. But I don't know, at first, my thought going into it is I thought that, whenever you put a year in a title, Police Story 2013, that kind of just showing that they're just milking the franchise. I mean, there's been 5 Police Story movies already. The last one was came out in 2004, almost a decade ago. So I thought it's just kind of getting tired of this franchise, But I mean, I think it's definitely meant to show Jackie in his age now try to show off his dramatic chops. And to me it feels well, do maybe go through the whole movie first, or maybe just just lay out the general plot on it, and then we can probably talk about it in more details.
Yeah, so general plot is after Jackie meets up with his daughter, she's kind of in appearance, she's definitely has a rebellious attitude at the beginning, and she's dressed. She has what looks like a tattoo on her neck of a spider. Her hair is kind of crazy with different colors and stuff, and it's definitely you get the from their dialogue. There's the impression that she's rebelling against society, rebelling against her dad because of
estranged.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but then I guess the major plot is. You meet her boyfriend, who is the manager of Wu Bar. I guess we'll call him Boss Wu. Boss Wu. You meet him, and then surprise, she's this is my boyfriend, and immediately he's oh, I don't like him. He's look at the bad company he keeps, and all these crazy people out here. But she's still rebellious and and wants to go along with it. Eventually, pretty shortly after that, there's like an altercation outside, and then like Jackie walks out and gets like clobbered on the head. He gets hit on the head from behind by somebody, and you find out it's Boss Wu, the bar manager, like just hit him, and then this whole hostage situation kicks off where everybody in the bar at this time is like taken hostage, and I think there's like gunfire going on, or at least there's just chaos.
So it's like a police story, like Die Hard,
right? Yeah, and going in, you also get they establish that the location, this bar, is kind of like a fortress almost, where it's like they have thick walls. Yeah. The entryway is heavily is fortified, and that like works towards that's definitely part of the story, is that this place is like a fortress, and that you can't get, there's only one way in and out. They established that it's like the only way out is through the front door, and that's barricaded pretty well. So immediately you get the hostage situation. You get all these. There's a lot of random people as part of the hostage group. There's like 20 something people that are hostages, including Jackie Chan and his daughter, and I guess from there you sort of, Jackie is taken upstairs and interrogated alone with Boss Wu, and that's it, and that's like the first time. It's like one of the first flashback scenes where the Boss Wu wants Jackie Chan to figure out why he's been taken captive. So it goes through like 2 or 3 stories. Like, was it this one time, or was this car chase? He's like, was it this one time when I chased this guy in the rail yard? It's like, no, that's not it. And eventually, but he gets left alone. Eventually, Jackie Chan escapes from there. Finds his daughter when she has a restroom break, and is able to contact the police outside. Who the police have already arrived, but they can't get in because it's a fortress. It's all barricaded. So
the siege going on.
Yeah, so it's under full siege. But he's able to eventually negotiate. He gets recaptured. There's another fight. There's kind of fights break out throughout the film. There's like a small fight with the guy here, and who gets stabbed in the leg. The guy who was the first guy he met at the bar, who like let him in, who like stabs himself in the leg in this fight. But and then and so Jackie has to give himself back up, and he goes back in with the hostages, and eventually he's able to negotiate the release of some of the hostages through. And it ends up being isn't this part where he fights the Thai guy pretty soon?
Yeah, he fights him, and I think that's really only the big fight that he had. I mean, throughout I don't know, there was a couple of scenes where he tried to escape and fought with the bad guys' underlings,
right? But this is pretty much the biggest fight of the film, is the Thai guy, and it's pretty dramatic, and there's lots of, he's being thrown through things. He's thrown through a barrel in slow motion. He's punched in the face a few times in slow motion, and it definitely looks like it hurts.
Just showing that he can still take it.
Yeah, he's doing his stunts, but yeah, he gets thrown around pretty bad, and the hostages and his daughter are kind of cheering for him, and some of them are saying give up, some are saying keep fighting, because he's fighting to get more hostages released, basically.
Yeah. And
eventually at the end he beats him, like barely. He kind of cheats, but he beats him, and he like gets like several of the hostages released, most of them basically, and he gets to go outside too, and with the promise of coming back into the bar with another hostage who the bad guys have requested that they bring in. They don't know why. Or I think they're starting to piece together why they're bringing in, why all these people are here together. But as we go in, you start to see, or he goes outside. He's negotiating with the cops. They eventually agree to bring in this other bad guy from jail to go back inside and to become a hostage again, or to become a hostage with Jackie Chan back in the bar, and so that whole sequence is a long like back and forth. They get inside. He's wearing a bomb-proof vest because worried that they're going to kill him. But back inside, there's a long sequence where where the new hostage, there's this long dialogue back and forth about talking about why they're there. What
big reveal?
Yeah,
basically.
this is the third like flashback sequence, basically third or fourth flashback sequence where you sort of like they start piecing together why they're all there, and it has to do with this drugstore robbery that happened like 5 or 6 years previously. I don't. Was this part related to any of the other movies? Do you know?
No.
Yeah, it's like I don't remember this happening in the other police story, but yeah, there's no relation. It's just it's basically like a drugstore robbery gone wrong, where this petty thief goes in to rob this drugstore for like medicine for a sick mom, which is kind of a thing you see a lot. You see happen a lot in certain like Chinese Hong Kong movies. But he gets caught. The store owner kind of like busts his ass. He's like he doesn't want to leave, but it immediately escalates into a hostage situation. He takes one of the girls that's at the that was talking to the chemist. He takes her hostage with a knife to her throat, and eventually, and then a few minutes go by, and Jackie Chan shows up. He was the first cop to show up on the scene, basically, and from there it just basically the situation goes horribly wrong. You get to see the perspective of everybody there and like what happened. But eventually, it's like you get a big reveal, and it's like, oh, this is what happened. This is how the girl died. Oh, and by the way, this is the motivation for the bad guy, like Boss Wu. The motivation for him is like my sister who I love more than anything. She's my reason for living, and like now that she's dead, I need to figure out why she died. And she died. She's the girl who is the hostage in the drugstore. She gets killed. But it's really murky about why or how that exactly happened, or he's not satisfied with the answer.
Yeah.
So, but he knows these, was it 5 people? He knows these 5 or 6 people were there. They all saw what happened. So so that's why this whole elaborate hostage situation is going on. So he can get these 5 people in the same room together. So he can interrogate all of them and figure out what happened to his sister and who's responsible for her death. Basically,
yeah. The whole movie is almost 2 hours. So, and so after going through that, like, what are your thoughts on just the initial reaction after watching the movie?
Initially, I definitely think it is almost 2 hours. It's like a good hour and a half, hour 45 minutes. And with that, there seem to be some scenes that they could have cut out. It's like there's a lot of fat in the film where it's like scenes with just prolonged dialogue or scenes that are kind of a little bit unnecessary. It seems like, or just longer than necessary. But so far, like I kind of it manages to keep the pace going pretty well. I thought there's like the fight scenes in between and stuff keep things moving, and it's definitely some very serious moments in the film where you put like serious drama and stuff, drama going on. But overall, definitely going through everything. It was entertaining. It was entertaining enough to keep me interested.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I think for me the biggest problem I have with the movie is that it seems like, so when I first watching it, so obviously you mentioned that, this is totally not related to any of the previous police story.
Right.
Like Jackie Chan, at least he played the same character in the previous police story movies, and this one he plays like a mainland cop. So really, I think it kind of go back to my initial dislike when they just include the police story 2013. Like, so he plays a policeman, so it's a police story movie.
Right.
I really have a big problem with that, but yeah, I think with the structure of the movie, how it starts, like, I thought, like, it's like Jackie Chan Die Hard. But then, and especially, I actually like the design of the movie where this story takes place, the whole bar.
Right.
It's very, like, neo-industrial, like, and I think there's a lot of potential there for him to play that kind of, like, Die Hard type of movie where, he can play cat and mouse with the bad guy. But really, it's not that at all.
Yeah, that happens a couple times. But I mean, he gets cut.
Just basically one time when he escaped initially, he able to find the villain's planning room, which is such a cliche because the door apparently is unlocked. Because Jackie Chan just opened the door, goes in there and see all the photos, all the planning, all like the map, the character relations,
backstory,
just everything laid out. I just wonder, like, do the villains really do that when you plan? Like, I just make sure I keep my thoughts on the board, and then just unlock the door so anybody can find it.
The secret room where he does all the planning is just unlocked.
Right, and then another thing too is like I thought like the villains, because he only had like 3 or 4 guys, henchmen.
Yeah.
I thought there's a lot. I mean, I think if he had more like henchmen working for him, there might be more potential there for him to for Jackie to escape around or fight with them at certain section of the bar. In fact, when I thought of this movie, I felt like Jackie Chan actually had made like a Die Hard movie in the City Hunter. Do you remember that movie?
Yeah.
Where it's at the cruise ship.
Okay.
Like that's when he plays the City Hunter, the Japanese smuggler character.
Right.
It's like a really wacky, like crazy, funny. Anyway, so I thought a better film, relatively speaking, has already been made with that type of material. But and also the other problem I have with this movie is just the narrative structure. Like you mentioned, like there's a lot of flashback, especially initial action scenes. It's all like in flashbacks. I just think that's sort of like, I don't know, like, it kind of really breaks the mood and pace of the movie. Like, you're talking about, because I think the selling point is that, like, so why is this bad guy going through all this trouble, try to get Jackie Chan and kidnap everybody? And then it keeps going back to flashback to what Jackie Chan did before and all that. Well, it's not the reason.
Not related.
So
it's
that's
just an excuse to have an action scene.
Exactly. And again, the action scenes is kind of, I mean, you can tell, like, Jackie Chan at his current age, he's not going to do a lot of stuff.
Right.
I mean, I remember the one car chase where, like, it shows Jackie Chan was chasing the guy in a car, and then bad guy shot back, and the bullet apparently hit Jackie, and then went through the whole car.
Right.
But when Jackie tried to shoot the bad guy's car, it just hit the car and bounced off.
Right.
So I was like, that's one particularly strong bullet. So I think for me the only highlight, and in fact the other problem I have is with the end of the movie, the big reveal. To me, I think it's totally like
forced.
Exactly. If you look back, like the bad guy really he kind of already know what happened.
Right.
That's why he got these people. But in the end, I feel like it's so pointless, because you can say at the end of the movie the reason why the sister died is because of the bad guy himself. Like, blame yourself. It's your own fault.
Yeah.
So to me, like, the only positive of the movie is the big fight in the cage.
Yeah.
Because I think it really shows that, like, Jackie Chan, like, he can still fight, but he kind of acknowledged that he couldn't fight as well as before. Because a lot of stuff in the cage, like, he just gets beat up for most of the time. And then I do appreciate the fact that he still do his own stunts and fights where you see him just getting beat. Again, gotta give props to the guy at his current age and still doing that. But to me, that's really the only high point of the movie.
And his character in this movie is very serious. It's a very serious character. There's no joking around. There's no Jackie Chan the clown in this movie. He's very dour and serious throughout the film, pretty much. So that's, to me, that's definitely, like you're saying, showing his acting abilities and stuff. Because he, in most of his movies, he at least has a little bit more comedy in the character that he plays.
Yeah, there's no lighthearted element at all in this movie.
Yeah.
So is there anything that you really liked or really disliked about this movie?
Like I said, I thought some of the scenes, especially in the beginning when they're showing the bar itself, were a little bit cartoonish. Like the piranha tank, the tank of
again,
piranhas.
cliches, right?
Like, just to show how bad. And that's another one of those. It's like, oh, something's gonna happen. That's like the obvious like foreshadowing things. Like, oh, there's a piranha tank that's gonna come into play later. It's like, and of course it does. And of course it gets smashed later as well. But yeah, this, like, some of the scenes like that where it's like they're going a little bit over the top, but part of that's just like the way movies are, where it's like it's kind of cartoonish in some areas.
Yeah, I mean, at least there's definitely good. It's quality production for sure. I mean, the director is Ding Shun, who worked with Jackie in The Little Big Soldier.
Okay.
Remember the movie?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so The Little Big Soldier was really great, but so the director himself came from like a directing music video background, so he definitely has a flair for style and it is a quality production, but I think the writing just really like hammy, like so, there's a lot of preaching and then the ending too is kind of like really like PC, like yeah, the bad guy kind of got what he deserved, but not really.
Yeah.
Like
I don't think does anybody die. Nobody dies in this film.
no.
Nobody gets killed.
Exactly. So yeah, so it's kind of one of the things. So I guess just to kind of wrap up, like so at the end,
spoiler, nobody dies.
yeah, there you go. So on a scale of like 1 to 5, so 5 being like something like the one of the best movies you've seen, you'll keep watching again. 1 is like you never want to watch it again, and 3 being like an average, decent, okay movie. How would you rate it on a scale of 1 to 5 star?
I'd definitely give it a good 3. I probably wouldn't watch this again on my own necessarily.
Yeah.
I'd watch it with somebody else who hadn't seen it, just as like a safe, like, oh, this is a fun action movie with Jackie Chan. There's like at least one good fight. The other good action scene, I guess, is when the police raid, like the big raid at the end. Actually, I don't know if that's a good action scene. It's just a lot of things are exploding.
It seems like, in fact, talking about the police, there's like a lot of like awesome technology that the police have. Like apparently this whole like touch screen where you can, it's like Minority Report. They can just pull the floor plans. It's like, and then the whole laser
cutter to cut through the roof. And the laser cutter.
It's like, what city in China has this like awesome technology for the police department?
Yeah, that was one of the things I wrote down. It's like, they're showing off the police technology.
And again, cliche. There's always the whole like police who wants to just go in, just go. Boom shakalaka, go shocking on.
Right. Yeah, Jackie Chan's like, no, we need to.
That's the reasonable thing. Like, trade me for another 12 hostages. It makes sense.
And that was the other thing. Like, part of the movie is to show Jackie Chan, the police officer, how much he's willing to sacrifice himself to save others. And like that's like 2 or 3 of the flashbacks, or actually all the flashbacks, are about him like sacrificing his safety to catch the bad guy. Yeah. It's like, he's like, oh, you can't go in alone to catch this guy. He's too dangerous. Like, I'm going to go get him anyway. He's like, and then the car chase scene, he gets shot. He's like, he gets shot and keeps on going to capture the bad guy.
Yep. And most importantly, the reason why he's estranged with his daughter is because he kind of put his own job, above his family. So I think as a character, I have no problem with Jackie Chan, the character he plays. But I just think the whole script behind it, I just think
it's a cliche.
Yeah, way too many cliches, and it's just not very well executed, I think. So for me, like, I'll give it a 3 star as well, just because it's one of those movies where, like, I mean, it's a quality movie. I mean, once you watched it, you won't really think you wasted the time watching it, but then again, you probably don't want to watch it again unless you have a good reason to. So,
right.
And again, that's kind of like, and in fact, for me, like, I think this is the second time I watched it, and it's just, I don't really feel it any different than watched the first time. So, like, my view of the movie kind of remain the same. So, anything else to add?
I think it pretty much covered. Would you, like, how strong would you recommend somebody watching this?
Not very high. In fact, after I watched the police story Lockdown, I actually went back to YouTube and tried to find all the old clips of the old police story movies. So I was going to say, so I would not recommend people watching this movie. So you might as well just watching all the old police story movies.
A little bit better.
Yeah, way better. All right, so I guess that wraps up our very first episode. It's kind of long, almost half an hour, but our future episodes will be much shorter, between 5 to 10 minutes. That's the goal. All right, signing out. This is Brother Mark.
This is HR.
All right, see you next time, the Asian Movie Nerds.